As hockey legends, many, but as far as I know, we don't have any teacher legends or social worker legends or therapeutic counselor legends. We definitely will never have any non-legend culture affairs. And it just kind of explains maybe why there's so much abuse in sports, right? We give it maybe more importance than it should. Like David Suzuki is a scientific legend, but it's more maybe for being a celebrity a lot on TV. I'm not saying that's the only thing he did. I think that's why people know him. They don't necessarily know much about him, except for recently maybe seeing some of his, retirement kind of documentaries or videos. I am not a plumber legend, but I tell you, using the scientific principle is I might be able to do things that career plumbers don't do. When I understood that my pipes were all connected in the way they were, I could use pressure against others to get all this stuff out that I will remove and put in garbage instead of making it go through there. So I got 3 sinks now, and the toilet is fine. And I didn't have to go to school. One thing I'll do though is I'm about to send an email to EB and maybe even Ford and Legault, because I would have human rights and court cases against organizations, individuals from those provinces as well. And I'm going to send it to Prime Minister Kearney and human rights tribunals, and I'm going to say, here's one way. I haven't even done half of the even just BC human rights complaints yet. I mean, there's a lot of things that are interconnected, but I'll say there's one way you can get out of it is buy off my file so I don't have to be forced to live in BC in a country that abuses me due to my ethics and hardworking polymath and it's a social services jack of all trades. Because I'm so far from the norm's low standards, and thanks a lot for a lot of unions for doing that. They've really helped lower the standards. Is now I have no pension. I'm 55. I went to play cribbage with seniors today, and they welcomed me, and but I'm not going to have as much as they have, and in part the government helped them in ways just for how they were born, or for investing in industries that have had a negative impact on future generations' ability to breathe air or live in healthy environments or drink safe water or have food that is affordable in a country that can grow food. So it's sad that somebody like me has to do human rights complaints. So what I'm going to say is I'm going to give them maybe a plan A, plan B, maybe a C and a D, and I'm going to say I still want to work, but I am not paying. I already documented how I got screwed going in university programs, post-secondary things, and got screwed, and student aid and banks didn't help. And they didn't reimburse or apologize, and they don't even give me access to all the information I ask about how that's harmed my ability, let's say, to have credit if I still cared about participating in the credit system. And of course, BC is not going to answer, or they're going to say that your case is delayed or it's going to happen next year, and it never will really. So I'm going to, push it up to Canada Human Rights, and then eventually I'm, documenting this, pay for me to do the veterinarius technician in, is it Kelowna? And, whatever costs I have to go down there. And I'd love to do that. And it's not like it's not going to be a needed job. But I'm not going to go work in forestry or radioactive waste or, you can get people without my education to do that. It's not okay to force me to do that, and not just because of the education that I've already paid student loans on, and that weren't as good as they promised they were, and nobody cares. But also, like there's a lot of people that won't go to university. So get them to do that, and get people that just have, let's say, an industry mindset, like they're not going to really get educated. I mean, you have to be very thorough if you work in radioactive waste, but forestry, fishing, mining, fossil fuels, the things that you're addicted to that you can't stop because you can't stop reproducing as an invasive species on this planet, is somebody else can do that. I'd like that to be part of my plan. I'll say, if you want to keep me in BC, I want to work that. Now, if they don't do it, plan B would be, okay, I want to do a master's that will give me some sort of ECE or teacher certification, because you guys can't get out of that brainwashing, that micromanaging. It's not about the results with the learners. And that could be in a different province. I'm doing that. Could even be in a province where I want to stay and work. But BC has to buy me off, because it's not easy to transfer my PWD status to another province or to the federal level. It's not. I just looked recently again. It's not realistic. So I'm kind of a hostage in BC and documenting all the ways they have been oppressing and victimizing me. And there's no rule of law, or there's no serious human rights tribunals at this late stage of the Anthropocene. And again, I'm not saying Canada is the worst country in the world. It's about average, about how proto-societies of failed people primates interact. And there might be a C and a D, but BC will have to pay more. And but it shouldn't just be BC. I mean, it should get money from other places I've been victimized. So that means it kind of should be managed by the federal government, and if they don't want to, then they'll have to explain to a federal human rights tribunal. And again, guys, if you are ready to take me seriously and you're not, then I'm going to say start watching. There's thousands of YouTube videos. Not everything relates, but I'm not going to do your job for you. You find it. Because if you ever answered me when it was the right time, and it would have been easier to manage all this information you need, it would have gotten done. But your punishment for getting me to continue to be victimized by you for so long is you do the research. And any judge or human rights commissioner, I'm going to say, if you judge on something that was available to you online and you didn't see, yeah, I'm coming after you in whatever legal way I can, because you didn't do your due diligence. That's why settling things at this latest stage of victimizing the elusive Homo sapien that you claim that you already are, but really you're not, you're the Homo communia, and how you victimize a real Homo sapien, and you claim inclusion, diversity, all this nonsense. No, you oppress naturally. It's within you as a failed species, as the Homo communia, to oppress somebody with higher levels of sentience and sapience, as documented for years, transparently, including interactions and conversations with you. So yeah, and if that fails, then I'm going to ask for that case to be done by another country, because Canada is not following the rule of its own laws. Now, I'm not going to necessarily choose a country that Canada's allied with, by the way, but if they have the ability to take on my human rights case, like they're structured in that way, then Canada's going to be failing even more, because they can't even clean up their own backyards. You know what I mean? Like, it's time to stop, guys, or somehow poison me and give me a terminal diagnosis.